Well, look, I think it was inevitable. We had talked about it on the show. I think that you're going to see more of this inside the United States when there's hotspots now. States are going to try to put restrictions on travel for the states that don't have a lot of infection, trying to restrict travel from states that do. So this is probably going to be something that we see more of, especially in the North and the Northeast, where the states had really a brutal outbreak in the Northeast and northern states like Michigan, Chicago, Illinois. I think they're going to think about putting restrictions on travel. Florida isn't in the worst shape of all the states in the South and the Southeast, but it is in difficult shape right now. Their positive cases are up by 66% week over week. Their testing is actually down by 10% week over week, so they're testing a little less. And the positive cases are going up. And so that's a challenging sign for them. Their positivity rate is going up quite rapidly down there.
The highest number of daily cases now we've seen in the United States, more than 36,000. Your level of concern, Dr. Gottlieb, about where we truly are tonight is what?
Getting higher. The number of cases that we're turning over right now, the 38,000 cases that we're turning over right now, don't represent quite as much infection as we were turning over in April when we had our previous record of 36,000 daily cases, because back then we were testing much less, so we weren't turning over as many cases. We were probably diagnosing 1 in 10 to 1 in 20 cases. Now we're probably diagnosing about 1 in 5 to 1 in 10 cases. I would guess about 1 in 8. So the overall infection burden in this country is less, but it's still very high. We still probably have about 200,000 infections a day, and we're diagnosing right now about 30,000 of those infections. And so that's really concerning to be having that level of infection this late in the summer. And you're seeing states like Texas, California, Florida, Arizona, South Carolina, Alabama, for that matter, where cases are growing quite rapidly. And it seems to be that they're tipping into exponential growth. California with over 7,000 cases today. Texas with 5,500 cases, Florida with 5,500 cases. That's a lot of new infections in those states.
You heard my conversation with the state treasurer for Florida, who said they will not mandate the wearing of masks statewide. Is that a mistake? Should they come out and make it mandatory to wear a mask if you are going out in public?
Well, the problem is that anything they do right now is going to have an impact 2 weeks from now. The cases that they're turning over right now were infections that really started a week, maybe 2 weeks ago. And so if they don't get aggressive now, it's going to be difficult in 2 weeks if the cases continue to build at the rate that they are to intervene forcefully enough to really have an impact on this. This is what we learned in the Northeast when we intervened late. We started the mitigation late. We saw cases continue to go up for another 3-4 weeks at a pretty high clip. They're going to see the same thing. They're going to see their case counts go up pretty rapidly over the next 2 weeks. And so the actions they take right now really aren't going to have their effect for a number of weeks. And so they need to think about what it's going to look like in 2 weeks if these cases continue to build these levels, the burden it's going to put on their healthcare system, and try to skate ahead of the puck.
Yeah. The other story I mentioned is Disney and these workers now petitioning to try and get the company to delay the reopening of the theme park. If you were advising Disney tonight, what would you tell the company?
Well, look, the governor did make an effort to get a lot of these businesses restarted. I think a lot of these businesses are going to have to rethink that, these hospitality businesses, not least of which because people aren't going to travel in to go to these venues right now. If Florida continues to be in the news and cases continue to build at the rate that they are, people are going to be looking to avoid vacationing in these venues. And so it just may not be economical to run these businesses right now. I think the best thing Florida can do for their economy isn't to pressure these businesses to reopen, but to get the infections under control. They had all the advantages of a seasonal effect there, and they probably had some of those effects impact the declines that they saw over the course of May. And now they're seeing the reverse of that. As people go inside for air conditioning, they're starting to see spread. So they're going to have to look at closing congregate venues and taking more aggressive actions. Whatever they do right now really isn't going to have an impact for a couple of weeks. And so they ought to think about that, what it's going to look like in a couple of weeks, again, if these cases continue to build at these levels.